Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Good morning, Vietnam!
You are great.
I'm not bad. I'm just drawn that way.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
My calculations are correct. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious...
You're listening to the 30-something movie podcast. Classic movies, 30 years in the making. Welcome to the 30-something movie podcast.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Good to see you all.
Welcome.
Hello.
Hello. How are you? We're all fine here now.
We're all fine here now.
How are you? That, I gotta say, we're just gonna jump right on into it here. Solo trailer?
Yeah.
I don't think we've talked about the Solo trailer.
No.
Since the last time we recorded.
Awesome.
That is probably my favorite part of that whole trailer, is at the end.
Yeah.
Where he's like, I thought we were in trouble there for a second, but we're fine. We're all fine.
We're all fine.
And then everybody's like, oh!
Yeah, I know.
Get ready. Thought we were in trouble there for a second, but it's fine. We're fine.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be fun.
I cannot wait.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yes.
Somehow my father has missed all mention that this movie exists.
Oh, awesome.
Whoa.
So he saw the
Memorial Day surprise.
So he saw the trailer and he's like, texting, "What in the is this?" I'm like, "Well, they're making another movie."
Yeah.
I didn't know how to answer the question. Like, well,
you should just
you
told
saw
him.
a trailer for a movie. Like, I'm not sure how to answer the what the heck is this question.
You tell him
like,
it's like what they did with the Crocodile Dundee
Oh.
movie.
Which, by the way, was hysterical.
And just tell him it's a commercial for Corellian tourism. and see if he gets it.
Yeah.
See, I'm not that quick on my feet.
Okay.
I need to be.
Well,
that would have been good.
Only one of the three of us in this room is quick on their feet, so.
It's true.
I think that the Han Solo movie looks outstanding.
Do you?
I just can't wait for more. What did I say? Like, for episode 9 or 8 or whatever, what are your predictions?
Whichever
I reject the question. I just want to see more Millennium Falcon chase scenes. I think that
You're gonna
could
get a
quite
movie.
potentially. Now, Jeff
We're going to need a pilot.
That's right. Jeff brought up an interesting point. He said, what happens if, the Millennium Falcon is something that, they're trying to capture that. That's like their first, smuggling mission or whatever. And so that's novel. Like, what happens if the whole movie doesn't, like, it's only at the end do you get the Millennium Falcon and all that?
Only at the end do you understand.
Yeah.
I'm hoping for the scene. I'm hoping they keep the canon that he wins the Millennium Falcon in a poker, in a sabak game, however you pronounce
whatever
it.
you call it.
And I want the movie to end with the Kessel Run.
I want to see a Kessel Run.
That should be the end.
There was some speculation that the end is he and Chewie landing on Tatooine.
Oh, that would be good, but is that too bonk on the head? And is that too? Does that hem you in too much? Does that now say
because I want him
done this?
Right.
You can't fill in this gap with something else down the road.
I want him to be younger in this movie. Like, I don't want it to go right up to episode 4.
Yeah.
I would like it because then and that would be just like a slap in the face to all the people that are like, this movie's gonna suck. Is if this movie does well and they're like, well, hey, our Han Solo is only like 25-ish years old. We got 10 more years until episode 4 is supposed to come out, or Rogue One, or whatever we want to tie this into. So we can do 2 or 3 more movies here, and that would be totally fine with me.
Movie number 2 could be The Kessel Run. Just that's could be the name of the movie, The Kessel Run.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that.
That'd be fine.
That's good too.
Yeah. And they could do
okay.
And they could mess with time like they did in Dunkirk. And then your movie is broken up into individual parsecs.
Oh my gosh.
movie has 12 segments to it.
That's outstanding.
That's good.
That's outstanding.
It starts with 14 segments, but he shaves off 2 at the end.
I'm just excited with the where they're hitting the switches on the Falcon.
Oh, quick little thing. There's a quick scene where Lando and Lando's robot friend. Apparently, this robot. I was reading some stuff on this robot. One of the first, not the first, but one of the first female robots in Star Wars, And apparently she is not owned by anyone. She is like a self-repairing, self-adapting robot droid. So she, like most other droids, they belong to somebody. And
Lando seems to have a thing for augmented or alternative people. Remember the Lobot guy?
Well, see, that was my thing. Before I found out that this was a female droid, I was like, you know what? I bet that's Lobot before he made a few adjustments himself. And maybe it is. Maybe Lobot starts this way and he decides that he wants to be a he, and hey, it's...
Okay, that would be pandering.
It's 2018.
Can we all agree that would be pandering?
It's a bit of 2018, so...
Yeah, but that would be pandering.
But anyway,
I mean,
the quick shot...
I'm not saying you're wrong.
Oh, I know.
I'm saying that would be pandering.
Yeah.
Is it a galaxy too far away?
Ooh, maybe.
So the quick scene, quick
Just
shot,
a parsec.
the two of them, a quick shot of the two of them like doing this little salute that they do before they kick the engines in gear or whatever it is when they're sitting next to each other. That little salute they do, I'm looking at it, it's like that little 2 or 3 finger salute, whatever it is. Same one that when Lando is leaving in Return of the Jedi, he's like, good luck.
Good luck.
Yep.
I'll bring her back. She won't get a scratch. I got your word now. Right? Not a scratch.
And I was listening to one of the other Star Wars podcasts, and they mentioned that, but then they also mentioned, wouldn't it be hilarious if this is Lando's ship, like it's his ship, and you see that scene where it's all pristine and white and just beautiful. And so then you get that comment in, was it Empire Strikes Back, where he walks up and he looks at it, and maybe this is the first time he's seen it since the Solo movie would have taken place, and his comment, "What have you done to my ship?" Because then you look at the interior and it's all like crusty and brown and not pristine and white anymore, and I can imagine Lando being a very classy guy, taking one look at the junk pile that Han Solo has turned his ship into, and he's like, "Dude, what'd you do to my ship?" I think this movie's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. All right.
Certainly, definitely.
Let's see. I'm going to run through a couple things really, really fast, and then we can get on into talking about our movies here. Did anybody hear about the... So I'm going to, a couple minutes for each of these. Anybody hear about the Michael Bay going to direct the Lobo movie for DC? How do you feel about Michael Bay? Let's just take it that direction.
He's done such a fantastic job on everything else. I'm sure it's going to be wonderful.
I want Michael Bay to direct an original script not based on source material from something else. Because he has...
You want him to work for his money?
Well, there's that. He has a vision. We may not agree with it. We may not like it. He obviously has a style and a vision of what he wants to do. And unfortunately, he's taking source material that people are quite connected to and ruining it. So he needs to find something original that he can adapt to his own vision because he's ruining everything else. I recently rewatched the Transformers series, and it just reminded me how he just ruined things.
I think I gave up after the first 2 movies.
I loved the first movie.
The first movie I thought was fun.
I was taken by the first movie and just thought, I wish they could have shown a little more. I
think it was cool, and it was an update, and it was exciting, which was cool for all of us. But if you actually go back and you're like, but why?
Yeah.
You didn't have to do it that way.
No. You could have shown the action.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
My biggest issue with those movies is that everything is too. How do I say this? The Transformers are too complex.
Yes.
It
doesn't actually work like that.
Right. But in the fight scenes, and I feel like I'm pretty good at paying attention. But I would always get lost on, okay, wait a minute, who punched who just now? And which, they're rolling on buildings, and well, I can't tell the difference between where one begins and the other ends. And
that is how he wanted it.
Right. So there is that. My suggestion, I thought, who would be a great... Are you guys familiar with the character of Lobo from the comics at all?
I know of his existence. Okay. That's kind of a...
He's kind of like an intergalactic mercenary. Kind of like a bounty hunter kind of guy. He's... I'm trying to think about...
DC's answer to the Guardians of the Galaxy.
That's what I was going to say.
I
think of him as a not funny Peter Quill, but
yeah, a little bit of a little more rough around the edges. I'm trying to think of another character that's maybe a little bit more well known. That I don't know, maybe like a Rocket Raccoon if Rocket was meaner and killed more people and was taller and less raccoony. Yeah, maybe something like that. I mean, he rides around like a space motorcycle, and he doesn't have any aversion to causing people pain when he needs to catch them and haul them in for money and stuff like that. And so my thought, the first thing I saw when Michael Bay was going to do this is my thought was just the aesthetic of it. I would almost rather have somebody like a George Miller do it. The Mad Max, Fury Road. I mean, that kind of the whole idea of the vehicles and the desolate.
Yeah.
The costumes and all that other stuff, and I don't know. I just feel like that look and feel would maybe fit that character a little bit better. But yeah I don't know.
All right.
Joaquin Phoenix wants to play the Joker. They apparently are talking about the possibility of a Joker origin story movie, which I kind of feel like we already have with Jack Nicholson.
Did they do it with Heath Ledger?
No, they didn't really talk about how he got those scars. But they're talking about doing that, and apparently Joaquin Phoenix wants to play Joker.
Well, okay. I mean, I think now the Joker has
Pat's just making faces. So.
The Joker's become that role now because of what some people have done with it. Now everyone wants I want my shot at the Joker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hate to say this because I know I'm sitting here with some DC guys, but I'm just kind of like yawn. I want to
move on. Do something different.
It's hard to get excited about it.
Yeah,
even for me. And I love Batman and everything in that universe specifically of DC. I love it, but man, is it getting tough.
But there's a lot of other stuff out there to do.
Yeah,
and I think we've done it. We've done so much Batman and so much Batman recent.
Right.
I shouldn't say relatively recent.
And then you've got Marvel, who is going to I don't necessarily want to call Black Panther a second-tier character, but he's kind of a second-tier character. Just like Iron Man was a second-tier character until they made a movie about him, and now it's the biggest thing that ever happened to Marvel.
I mean, Robert Downey Jr. helped a little bit with that, right. I think, maybe.
I mean, Iron Man was, not that I've always been a huge Marvel fan, but
look at Deadpool.
If you told me, hey, go pick 5 Marvel comics you want, and I'll buy them for you for free, Iron Man would not have been one of the ones that I would have picked up.
On my list. No.
You
know what? I don't love Iron Man as much as I love Tony Stark. I should clarify.
Okay. All right.
I like Tony Stark for the same reason I like Bruce Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
It's something about the non-super-powered superhero. It's all, not all, but mostly technology-based. It's all, it's futuristic magic technology, but it's not the rays of a yellow sun. It's not some I didn't get bit by a radioactive spider.
Yeah.
The line from Justice League. What's your superpower?
I'm rich.
Mm-hmm. I'm okay with that. That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm down with that.
Yeah. It's cool.
Do you guys ever watch the Benji movies?
Yep.
Benji movie is coming to Netflix.
Oh,
new Benji movie.
Really?
Yeah.
New
Benji
Netflix
movie.
original?
My understanding is a new Benji movie.
Huh.
So haven't seen a Benji movie in years.
I know.
I was going to say, now that you
growing
mention
up.
it, I got to show that to my kids.
I know.
Oh yeah.
There was 2 or 3 years ago. For some reason, I randomly thought of Benji, and I forget what the name of the movie was. Maybe it's For the Love of Benji.
They made more of those than I realized.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
And it was the one where he's living in an abandoned house, and there's all these scenes. Every time he goes up into the house, he's climbing down all the the rafters and then down the staircase, and he pops out at one point outside in the hole in the wall outside the house, and then climbs down a wall and then he has to come back up in the house, and he ends up with a little girlfriend dog, and he's bringing her food yogurt cups or something, pudding cups, and I don't remember the name of the movie, but we watched that one over and over and over again as kids. And I found it at the library a few years ago and showed it to my kids, and they loved it too.
Cool.
I don't know anything else about it.
It's fun.
I was looking at some stuff earlier today, and that popped up and said there's a Benji movie coming to Netflix.
Speaking of Netflix, did anyone pull the trigger on Cloverfield over the weekend?
That was my next thing on the list. So look at you. That's part of the paradox, is you asked the question before I asked the question, and there's the paradox.
I've already answered, but you gotta wait till next week to hear the answer.
I have answered last week. No. I have answered next week, but it will be recorded last week.
Ooh.
I can't wait till next week to hear what you just said.
When will then be now?
When will then be now? Soon.
Is that Bill Murray from Ghostbusters 2? And here's from Night with the ESP or the ESP Vision saying, And he just pulled his head. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So Cloverfield Paradox. You didn't see it?
Not yet. It's
You
Don't
didn't see
know.
it?
I mean, that's what I'm hearing.
If you're asking
It is-
whether or not you should go see it, do you enjoy being whacked in the head with a hammer?
Well, no, not particularly.
No, not particularly. Okay, I would almost recommend that
Okay.
over going to see Cloverfield.
Yeah, I have not heard good things.
Because-
like, after the big reveal of the Super Bowl, things were high.
Now, if this was any other like stupid sci-fi movie, like fairly low budget, I don't want to call this one low budget, but I mean there were some of the effects seemed a little low budget. If it was any other stupid sci-fi movie that just was its own thing and was not named Cloverfield and not supposed to be attached to the rest of that, I'd be fine with just saying, it's just one of those. You know?
Sure.
It's one of those that's in the dregs of Netflix. Go look for it. It's when you decide to scroll more than like 5 times down the page to go see the junk that's at the bottom of the pile. The fact that they decided to attach the name Cloverfield to it makes me angry because I like the first 2 Cloverfields and I was excited about this one.
These are movies.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So you haven't seen the original Cloverfields.
So 10 Cloverfield Lane is the
10 Cloverfield Lane was the second one.
second one, right? Okay.
So I'm going to try not to spoil. In fact, I'll try not to spoil too much for you. But first Cloverfield is almost like a Godzilla movie.
Okay.
Like the idea was it was a found footage movie. Like almost all of it, if not all of it, is done off of
Shaky
like
camera.
camcorders.
Yeah.
If they did it today, they'd use iPhones.
Okay.
That would be the
Right.
shtick.
Okay.
Yeah. And so it's like a Godzilla movie. Like this guy is he's with his friends partying in I think New York City or wherever it is.
Sounds right.
And he's about to move to Japan for work and whatever. And all of a sudden, in the middle of this party that they're having, like crazy stuff starts happening in the city. And there's explosions, and this monster shows up and starts wreaking havoc. And you're seeing it all from street level with somebody's camcorder that they were recording at the party. That's the first movie. Second movie is called 10 Cloverfield Lane, and they did little to no advertising
Yeah, it was.
for that one. And that
I
was,
missed it.
And that was kind of the deal with the first one, too. They didn't put a name on the movie when they put out the trailer. It was, and I forget what movie it was in front of.
Transformers.
It was Transformers.
Which is why I saw. The only reason I saw the trailer was
Yeah.
because.
And they put the trailer, and it was like this monster movie, but they didn't tell you the name of the movie, so people were like, oh, well, that's interesting. I'm now intrigued.
It was like an attempt at guerrilla marketing before that was a thing.
It was viral marketing before there was viral marketing.
Yeah.
And so with 10 Cloverfield Lane, same thing. They called it 10 Cloverfield Lane, and everything they showed you in the previews was like these people living in an underground bunker. And you're like, well, wait a minute. Why are they in an underground bunker? Is it related to the monster in the first movie? And without spoiling a whole lot, I'm just going to say it's not necessarily related to the first movie. That you find out it's got a bit of a different take on it.
Does Cloverfield have some sort of significance?
Well, that's where we come to in this one. So this movie has, I guess, been in development for several years, and it was originally titled The God Particle, and it was not a Cloverfield movie up until a little while ago. And apparently, either J.J. Abrams or this is what I've read from online, and so hopefully most of it's right. J.J. Abrams, I don't know if he somehow...
The internet told you it must be right.
It must be right. Abraham Lincoln Skyped with me and told me
Exactly.
it was all true, as he was killing vampires.
Thank you. Just
You're welcome. Well, he cannot tell a lie. He didn't chop down that apple tree.
it was
no.
a cherry tree.
No, it wasn't. It was an apple tree. It was. It was an apple tree in the middle of an Apple store when he was buying his new iPhone.
There
Was
you go.
it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor?
Hell no.
I don't know if that rings any bells at all, but that was like the poster,
Okay.
For which one?
the original.
Oh, yeah, the original.
Something
Yeah, yeah.
has found us.
Yeah, and it was the whole
And that was
the
a-
whole headless Statue of Liberty was like the
And
thing.
that was kind of a
the
cool.
trailer,
That was
too,
kind of like
wasn't
a
it?
cool scene because,
I
well,
feel like the trailer, the first trailer might have just been the head
of the
rolling
Statue of
or-
Liberty
yeah.
comes crashing into the streets of New York, and you're like, whoa! So yeah, but 10 Cloverfield Lane, good movie. It's a
Okay.
good movie. John Goodman.
Cloverfield was a good movie. 10
Cloverfield was a good one. 10 Cloverfield Lane was a good one. So then this one, you
T.J. Miller's
kind
in
of
the
hear that
original.
it's...
Okay.
You kind of hear that this one's in production, but apparently what I've read now is this was not a Cloverfield movie until somehow J.J. Abrams or somebody got word of it and was like, hey, I can see some ways I could tie this into my Cloverfield. I'd like to take your movie, and I'd like to make your movie a Cloverfield movie. And so apparently what happened was they took a movie that was already pretty much made, and they said, you know what, this is great. You can pretty much keep everything the way that you got it, but we're going to intersperse the people that are on this space station with scenes of what's happening down on Earth. And so you can kind of tell that things were edited or spliced together so that they could take stuff that was kind of already there, and they've just got a lot of it's unnecessary exposition. You've got moments in it where you see, like, the premise is there's a energy crisis on Earth. And so they've got this space station, and it's got a particle accelerator, and they're going to try to, if they can fire up this particle, which is never a good idea.
But is it unlicensed and strapped to someone's back? These are the things.
No, not this one. Not this one, but eventually.
Oh, okay, good.
I love that plan, too. I'm excited to be a part of it. Let's do it.
Why should any of us be nervous? We're all carrying an unlicensed, untested nuclear accelerator on our backs. Switch me on.
That's a big Twinkie. So this one, there you go. So this one is they need to fire up the particle accelerator, keep it stable, and then that will supply infinite energy to the world, and then that's fine. But things are very tense down on Earth, and like you've got lines of people waiting to fill up the gas, and electricity's going out left and right all the time. Countries are going to go to war with each other over all this.
Dogs and cats living together.
Mass hysteria.
And so you get these scenes on Earth of where, and this is where the writing is just bad in this. The acting is actually not too bad. Acting is fine. Characters are fine. The script is horrible because you'll have these scenes of you see these people in long lines. You might even hear somebody on the radio say something about an energy crisis, and so you get the idea. But then they'll have two people sitting in a car, and one of the guys is like, well, in the last 3 years since we've had an energy crisis here on Earth, and Russia and Germany have been at war with each other, and I'm like, you just showed me all that. Yeah. You don't need to tell me. Yeah. I got it. Yeah. I'm not stupid. You don't have to repeat that in dialogue for me. And that happens several times in the movie. And there are bits and pieces. The part of this movie that was meant to be scary, because part of it is kind of a horror movie, the parts that were meant to be scary, they did better with something like Event Horizon. So if you want to go see a movie that's on some kind of a spaceship or space station and things are going wonky, and you're messing with like parallel dimensions and stuff like that, and you want to be scared, go watch Event Horizon, because it's a much, much better movie. And still terrifies me to this day. Mm-hmm. But then the idea, and again, I don't want to spoil anything for anybody who hasn't seen it yet, if they're still wanting to, if they hate themselves.
Switch off now.
If you loathe yourself enough that you want to go watch it, then feel free. But I'm going to say a couple things here real quick. At the end of this movie, you get a sense that the events of this movie have somehow caused the two movies that came before it.
Okay.
Because there's some like to quote the Good Doctor, there's some wibbly wobbly timey wimey stuff going on, and multiple Earths and all kinds of other crazy stuff, and the name of the station is Cloverfield. And so, and actually, there you go.
Okay.
And so you also get the sense there was if you looked like back before they put Easter eggs in movies, if you looked in the original Cloverfield, there was a scene where something came falling out of the sky and like landing in the ocean somewhere. And if you weren't really watching, you'd miss it. I think I had to watch it 2 or 3 times to see it. And so at the end of this movie, there's an escape pod that has been shot out from this space station, and you get the idea that might have been what was falling into the ocean in that first movie. Right. But then you're also thinking, well, wait a minute, this movie is the third one, but that movie came out in, what was it, like 99 or 2000? Or
2000.
Early 2000s, if it was 2000s.
Yeah.
2008, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
January 18th, 2008.
I thought it was older than that.
Well, Transformers was like 2005 or 6, wasn't it?
I guess that's true. Yeah, that's true. Huh, okay.
Right?
I'm thinking of I was thinking found footage, and I was thinking of Blair Witch.
Yes.
That's what I'm thinking, because that was 99.
Yeah, that was, yes.
So quality wise, not a great movie. I mean, I watched the entire thing just because I wanted to get to the end, and I wanted to be like, how does this tie into the rest of this stuff? Because I like the other ones, but it was just not. I mean, I found myself like skipping a few minutes at a time. I'm like, okay, all right, fine, let's get through this part.
Can we move it along, please?
Right.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what that was. All right, my very, very last thing on our new movie news stuff, and this is primarily for you because I think you watched Kung Fury.
Yeah?
Yeah, Michael Fassbender, the guy who played Magneto in the new X-Men movies.
Yes.
He apparently is going to be in Kung Fury 2.
Oh.
They're making a sequel.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen Kung Fury?
No, I will have to
watch it tonight.
I think they should just call it Kung Furier.
I think that would be awesome. Watch it. It's a half hour of your
Kung
life.
Furry?
Yeah, Kung Furry. Well, the furries, a bunch of ninja furries.
Ninja furries.
Why have the furries come up in our last 2 episodes?
I don't know, but I am not a furry.
I don't.
And I'm also going to say this.
You resemble one.
If you have animals love me, what can I say? Kung Fury, you've got to watch Kung Fury.
Uh-huh.
It's a half hour.
It's only a half hour.
You
Kung
won't
Fury 2, the movie.
Yeah.
The 2 stars on the IMDb search box that pop up.
Yep.
Michael Fassbender.
Uh-huh.
And
Fassbender. You have to say it that way.
the Hoff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's huge because you'll see why.
You'll see why. You got to watch the first one.
You have to watch that today.
Yeah.
You must watch that. Maybe at the end of this podcast. I don't know.
I feel like certain things of Kung Fury remind me of The Last Dragon. Like that movie with Sho'nuff.
Yeah.
The Shogun of Harlem.
Yeah.
I some of it reminds me of that.
Yeah, Kung Fury's pretty outstanding. I mean, it's just like...
And only being a half hour. It's a little bit like when I first started watching Ash vs. Evil Dead.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, great, another show. I mean, I love, Evil Dead and all that other stuff, but I don't know if I can start another, series that has, 12-hour-long episodes. And then I was like, wait a minute.
It's a half
They're all like 27 minutes?
Yeah.
We're watching the whole season tonight.
Yeah, I know. No, it's funny. Mizuka even watched Kung Fury. I mean, like that, because it came out like right when he was passing the room around. I said, "Hey guys, this is pretty out there. You might like this." Blah blah blah. I passed it out, and he's like, "Yeah, I'll check it out." And it was like, "What was I watching?" was I think Jeff's, but that's accurate. What am I watching? Like
it's
I'll have to check that out.
Oh,
it's
tonight.
So ridiculous.
And send a text.
But it's a lot of fun.
It's awesome. I'm just.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Right on.
Dinosaurs. I missed my point in time. I mean, it's just outstanding. It is outstanding.
I'm in. I love
We
it.
should do after you watch it.
Yes.
Let's do a podcast.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Yes.
The podcast will be longer than the movie.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Kung Fury Minute.
There you go. Ooh.
Oh, you got it. You have got to see this.
All right. It's on the list.
Yes.
The only thing I think I have out to watch tonight is Olympics, so I'm in.
Well, guess what you're watching now?
Yeah.
Before the Olympics, you're
Forget the
watching Kung
Olympics.
Fury.
There you go.
Olympics. All right, so that's it for new movie stuff. Oh, yeah. What? Oh, Venom.
Venom teaser trailer?
Yeah, Venom. Do you mean the Eddie Brock teaser trailer? I didn't see Venom in the trailer. Sorry, I'm just being a jerk.
Yeah. I was thinking of a response, and then I'm like, did I miss something? But that's right at the very end. You got a good point.
I mean, at the very end, you see the
facial-
logo thing, but you don't actually see Venom. Yeah.
I
mean, that would be like having a solo trailer and showing everybody but Han Solo.
Exactly. There's like they have the thing that looks like the Venom thing moving around inside. Yeah, I'm just excited. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Excited about Venom. Not as excited about like if I heard there was a new Wolverine movie, but
have we said anything about the new Ant-Man? We have to have covered that at some point. No?
I don't know that we did. Yeah,
that too.
I enjoy that one as well.
Yeah.
I was a huge fan of the first Ant-Man.
Oh yeah,
as soon as this one comes out, I'm there.
Yes,
I'm good.
Yes,
and my daughter really appreciated that. Much like Thomas the Tank Engine in the first one, there is a giant flying Hello Kitty Pez dispenser.
Outstanding.
Yeah, that was well done.
I think they're going to do. It seems like just from the trailer, it seems like they're going to do a lot with taking the idea of the shrinking and the growing powers and really play with it a lot more than they did in the first one, which the first one I still thought was awesome. Yeah, no, I can't wait till that one.
That's
can't
cool.
wait till that one comes out. Came out on June 15th, 1988, rated R. For 1 hour and 48-minute runtime, was directed by Ron Shelton, who did White Men Can't Jump and Tin Cup. Producers on this one was Tom Mount, who did Can't Buy Me Love, Tequila Sunrise, and Frantic, and Mark Berg, who has produced 2.5 Men, Saw, and John Q. Writer for this one, also the director, Ron Shelton. He also did The Great White Hype and Bad Boys 2. Cinematography by Bobby Byrne, who did Smokey and the Bandit. That's a great movie. I wish we had started our podcast like 7 years earlier to be able to talk Smokey and the Bandit. Maybe we'll do it when it comes around for a different anniversary sometime. 16 Candles, and Dennis's personal favorite, Howard the Duck. Music for this one was Michael Convertino. I butchered that totally. I'm very sorry, Michael. Michael Convertino, who also did The Santa Claus and Wakewood. Budget on this one was $7.5 million, and the box office was $58 million. Kevin Costner played Crash Davis. He was in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, The Bodyguard, and Field of Dreams. Susan Sarandon, who is the partner of Tim Robbins from 1988, they actually met on this movie, until 2009 when they broke up. Susan Sarandon played Annie Savoy. She was in Thelma and Louise and Dead Man Walking. Tim Robbins played Ebby Calvin Nuke LaLoosh, who was also in Howard the Duck, The Shawshank Redemption, and The Hudsucker Proxy. Trey Wilson, who died in 1989 at age 40, was Joe Riggins, the manager. He was in FX, Raising Arizona, and Twins. Robert Wool played Larry Hockett. He was in Batman 89 and Good Morning Vietnam. William O'Leary played Jimmy. He was in Hot Shots and the TV show Home Improvement. David Niedorf played Bobby. He was in Platoon, Hoosiers, and Empire of the Sun. Danny Gans, who died in 2009, played Deke. He was in Chippendale Rescue Rangers and the TV series Silk Stockings. Tom Salardi played Tony. He was in I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry and The Benchwarmers. Lloyd Williams played Mickey. He was in Pretty Woman and Boxing Helena. Rick Marzan was Jose. He was in Heat and Eraser. George Buck was Nuke's father. He was in See No Evil, Hear No Evil and Funny Farm. And Jenny Robertson played Millie. She was in Balls of Fury and Reno 911. Rotten Tomatoes gives this one a 97%, a 73% critic rating on Metacritic. David Anson said, quote, "This film works equally as a love story, a baseball fable, and a comedy while ignoring the cliches of each genre." The audience rating on CinemaScore, it got a B+. Academy Awards for this one. It was nominated for Best Original Screenplay by Ron Shelton. It was nominated for a Golden Globe for Best Actress for Susan Sarandon, and Best Original Song, When a Man Loves a Woman. It was also, the only award on here that it won was the Writers Guild of America Award for Best Original Screenplay, Ron Shelton. Got a couple of quick little trivia background things here for Bull Durham. Ron Shelton played the director, Ron Shelton played minor league baseball for 5 years, but quit when he realized he would never quite make it to the majors. He was quoted in an interview at one point saying, "I was 25. In baseball, you feel 60 if you're not in the big leagues. I didn't want to become a Crash Davis." Also from Bull Durham, Annie Savoy's name comes from a combination of, quote, Annies, what baseball players called their groupies, and the name of a bar. Last one from Bull Durham is the studio wanted Anthony Michael Hall to play Nuke LaLoosh, but Shelton fought and ultimately had to threaten to quit before they allowed him to keep Tim Robbins.
What do you believe in then?
Well, I believe in the small of a woman's back, the hanging curveball, high fiber, good scotch, and I believe in long, slow, deep, soft, wet kisses that last for 3 days.
Oh, my.
After 12 years in the minor leagues, I don't try out. Besides, I don't believe in quantum physics when it comes to matters of the heart.
Sometimes love can explain.
Have you ever been tied up in bed? Come on, fire one in here!
This is ridiculous. I'm a professional.
It still remains a mystery to me.
What? That's hot.
While one surrenders and the other runs away. But it's true.
The rose goes in the front, big guy.
Dare you to stay out of my bed? You are messing with my private life.
When a woman loves a man, a woman loves a man. She does what she can do. He does the best he can. And a woman loves a man. A woman loves a man. She does what she can do. He does the best he can. And I look into her eyes when the world is out of hand. And I'm so happy when a woman loves a man. When a woman loves a man. A woman loves a man. No moon tonight, no nothing to guide me. Still I will find her standing beside me. No moon tonight, there's nothing to guide me. still I'll find her. Stand beside me. There's not this everywhere. Still I'll find her. Standing beside me. When a woman loves a man, a woman loves a man. She does what she can do. He does the best he can. When a woman loves a man, when that woman loves a man, she does what she can do. He does the best he can. No moon tonight.
Our second movie this time around is Working Girl. It came out December 21st, 1988, rated R, with a runtime of 1 hour 53 minutes, directed by Mike Nichols, who died in 2014. He also did The Graduate, The Birdcage, and Primary Colors. Producer was Douglas Wick, who did The Craft, Gladiator, and The Great Gatsby, the 2013 version. Writer on this one was Kevin Wade. He did Junior and Meet Joe Black. Cinematography was Michael Ballhaus. He did Goodfellas and Bram Stoker's Dracula. Music for this one was done by Rob Mounsey, who also did Bright Lights, Big City, and the TV series Sex and the City. Budget was $28.6 million, and the box office was $102 million. Starring Harrison Ford as Jack Trainer. He was in the Star Wars movies, Indiana Jones movies, and Air Force One. Sigourney Weaver played Catherine Parker. She was in the Alien movies, the Ghostbuster movies, and Galaxy Quest. Melanie Griffith played Tess McGill. She was in Lolita, Crazy in Alabama, and most recently, The Disaster Artist. Alec Baldwin played Mick Dugan. He was in Knots Landing, Beetlejuice, and 30 Rock. Joan Cusack played Sin, or Cynthia. She was in 16 Candles, Saturday Night Live, and School of Rock. Philip Bosco played Orrin Trask. He was in The Money Pit and The Savages. Nora Dunn played Ginny. She was in Saturday Night Live and Three Kings. Oliver Platt played Lutz. He was in The Three Musketeers, the 1993 one, Bicentennial Man, and a few episodes of The West Wing. Kevin Spacey played Bob Speck. He was in Seven and The Usual Suspects, as well as the TV series House of Cards until recently. And Olympia Dukakis played the personnel director, and she was in Moonstruck and Steel Magnolias. Rotten Tomatoes. I went full on Southern there for a second with Rotten Tomatoes. Rotten Tomatoes gave it an 85%. Metacritic gave it a 73%. Roger Ebert gave it a 4 out of 4 stars and wrote, quote, "The plot of Working Girl is put together like clockwork. Carries you along while you're watching it, but reconstruct it later and you'll see the craftsmanship." Audience rating on CinemaScore was an A-. Let's see, it had the Oscar for Best Original Song, Let the River Run, by Carly Simon, and it was nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actress, and 2 different Best Supporting Actress nominations. A couple of real quick background things, some trivia on Working Girl. Working Girl, it was David Duchovny's film debut. If you check the, I think it's the wedding party for Cynthia, for Sin, you'll see him there, and I think he might be in one of the other party scenes at some point, but you gotta look real fast, otherwise you'll miss him. I didn't catch him in one of the first scenes, but I did catch him in that one, the wedding party, when Mick is trying to reluctantly propose to, or kind of reluctantly propose to Tess. He's in there. He's kind of off to the left-hand side of the screen at one point, but he's there. Melanie Griffith was actually dealing with alcohol and drug addiction during the filming of this movie. She failed to show up several times, but one morning in particular for filming, and production had to close down for a brief time. She was fined and ultimately entered rehab about 3 weeks later.
There isn't any room at the top for local girls like us.
I'm not giving up.
In the land of opportunity,
They're not gonna give you no shot test. They're gonna shoot you.
where dreams are won and lost,
Spray me down?
Sorry?
Well, I can't very well walk around my own party clinging.
someone's about to get what she deserves.
I know I'm asking an awful lot, Tess, but I don't know what else to do. I need you to take over.
Do me a favor, be me. Be my secretary.
You do, sir?
Thank you, Cynthia.
Hold all calls, Miss McGill?
Yes, Cynthia, thank you.
Can I get you anything, Mr. Trainer? Coffee, tea, me?
Isn't she right? That'll be all, Cynthia.
But how you look.
I have a head for business and a bod for sin. Is there anything wrong with that?
20th Century Fox presents Harrison Ford,
Last night was special.
wasn't so special. I had to carry you up 3 flights of stairs.
Sigourney Weaver.
This woman is my secretary.
She's not.
Oh, no? Ask her.
Melanie Griffith.
How about you? I'm flat broke. I'm crazy about a man that I will probably never see again. Well, besides that.
In a new film directed by Mike Nichols.
I'm telling you, she's your man.
Working Girl.
You know, maybe I just don't like you.
Me? Nah.
Okay, we didn't even introduce ourselves. We just jumped right on in, and I mean, people who listen know who we are, but
They do.
yeah.
That's why they come to us.
So you're Pat.
Yep.
And you're Bo.
Hey.
And I'm Dennis.
There you go.
None of that was true.
Nope.
Hey, Bo, how are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you, John?
I'm doing good. Pat, how are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Good.
I was excited. I thought I could be Bo and I could be smart and know how to do stuff, but
if you want.
And I thought I could be Pat and have musical talent, which would be nice too.
Well, no, that you find out that there's not very much of that. So
wait, so I have to be Dennis?
You picked it, buddy. We just sat here.
I got here early.
How's your screenplay?
What do you think of Bartman or Cartman? Or
I love the Cubs.
Okay.
I love the Cubs. I think the Cubs are the greatest baseball team that's ever played.
Finest assemblage of athletes ever.
Gods among men, I would almost say.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I can't believe Chicago really doesn't even need another team.
No.
I don't think they need another team. I think the Cubs are enough. In fact, any other teams that might exist in the city of Chicago, they're just, throw in the towel.
Excessive.
Go home.
Semi-pro.
Juneau. I think, Juneau, Alaska might need a baseball team.
There
So,
you go.
I mean, let's
transform
do
there.
that. Yeah. Love the Cubs. My name is Dennis Matucci, everybody. And I love the Cubs.
Well, we'll know if he ever listens.
Yeah, we'll see. So there you go, Dennis. You have to listen to find out what just happened. All right. All right, real quick before we get into our movies, if you don't want to be spoiled, we are going to be talking today about Bull Durham and Working Girl. So if you don't want to be spoiled on either of those movies, then please just run away screaming now, and then come on back after you've calmed down. And leave us a review on iTunes if you're enjoying the show. Leave us a review and let us know what you like or what you don't like, and we'd love to hear from you. So I think let's jump on into Bull Durham.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Bull Durham. This is the first time I ever watched this movie, and I really, really liked it. Big fan. And I remember a few weeks ago when I knew we were going to be doing this, another podcast on Twitter had put up a poll, and they asked for what the favorite baseball movie of the 80s. It might have been favorite sports movie or favorite baseball movie of the 80s or something like that. And a lot of people answered Bull Durham.
Oh, sure.
As their favorite. Mm-hmm. Even over Field of Dreams.
It certainly depends on your style of baseball movie. They're different.
Yeah.
Bull Durham and Field of Dreams are.
And actually.
The one that often gets Bull Durham and Major League get thrown around a lot together. And if you know the two movies at all, you know how much Major League is almost poking fun at Bull Durham.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I put out a poll the other day to ask people what their favorite baseball movie of the 80s was, and I believe that Bull Durham came in third place of the 4 options that I put up there.
Wow.
I'm trying to find it now.
That's impressive.
Most impressive. Yeah, now I can't find it. I had it open on my page before, but no, there we go. So I asked best baseball movies of the 80s. If yours isn't here, leave a reply. And I did not get anybody to reply. Jeff replied, but he doesn't count. And I had Bull Durham, Field of Dreams, Major League, and The Natural. The Natural got 0%, Major League got 36%, Bull Durham got 9%, and Field of Dreams got 55%. So, bigger
you had a
Field of Dreams fans.
You had a more pure audience, perhaps, on your Twitter feed. Mm-hmm. Or our Twitter feed, I should probably say.
I don't know if I would call them a pure audience, but you're all lovely people. But I don't know.
This one was definitely R-rated.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
gonna
limit some stuff.
Yeah,
sure.
But no, I think given the option, if I were to have to choose, and I kind of put those two, because again, I I don't think I've seen Major League all the way through. I think I've just seen bits and pieces of it. So if I had to pick between two movies and say either Field of Dreams or Bull Durham, I think right now I'd pick Bull Durham. Just because I think Bull Durham seems like it's a movie that I could sit down and watch just about at any time.
Okay.
And maybe that's because of the comedy aspect of it, but Field of Dreams, I almost feel like I have to be in the mood to watch that one. Because it's maybe a little more serious, or maybe it's a little more of a drama.
A little slower to develop.
A little slower, yeah. So I'm just kind of thinking, in terms of rewatchability, I probably would rewatch Bull Durham a little bit more often than Field of Dreams. Really liked how, each of these movies, Field of Dreams, again, we didn't watch Field of Dreams yet because that's not up on our list yet, but I like how these movies really paid homage to baseball, and that if you're a baseball fan, you're going to get the stuff they're talking about. My wife Sharon is a little bit bigger baseball fan than I am, and she's sitting over there laughing at some of the different comments they're making, and they get up to the plate or they get up to the mound, and just the thoughts that are running through their head, and so she thought this was hilarious too, just trying to think, that wouldn't it be funny if that's actually what's going through, and it may be what's going through some of their minds as they're up there getting ready to pitch or hit or catch or whatever it might be. But just, I think those might have been my favorite parts of the movie is those interactions when they're out on the field. And especially the times where...
What the heck's going on out here? Well, his Vince curse.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
We're going through a lot of stuff here.
All right, yeah.
Trying to figure out a wedding gift.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
Candles.
Candlesticks are always a good idea. They didn't even deal with the whole cursed mitt. They got the wedding gift thing figured out. They didn't deal with the cursed mitts.
Well, they saved that.
Away.
They saved that for Major League when they sacrificed a live chicken instead of the
for Chobu.
There you go. There you go. So,
I want the deleted scene where they dealt with the cursed mitt. Like I want that.
Right. Yeah, I want to see that.
Yeah.
I want to see that.
So, I just starting off at the beginning here, we run down the kind of the summary of the movie. So Crash Davis, Kevin Costner, he's been around for a while, minor league baseball, made it to the show for, what did he say, 21 days? 21 days, made it to the show. And he's kind of been brought in to bring Nuke up to speed. And, what is it? He keep calling him Meat. He's trying to figure, he needs a nickname, so he's calling him Meat. And they don't get along too very well. And so you then get Annie kind of thrown into this whole situation, and she's the one that starts the whole movie off, which I thought was kind of interesting to start a baseball movie. Now, I'm not trying to be sexist by saying this, but you're starting a baseball movie off with a narration by a woman. And I thought that was kind of an interesting route to take it. Liked it, liked her character. But you definitely got the vibe that this was going to be a slightly different kind of baseball movie, or have some kind of a different take to it. And then that being kind of the funny premise of the whole thing is that she takes on one player a year, and that's her lover, her companion for that entire year, and that's her project. That's her way of trying to get them ready for the major leagues. You've got so most of the movie you've got Crash and Annie kind of arguing back and forth with each other, even though you can pretty clearly tell they like each other. You've got Nuke still trying to, do things his way, and he's not really interested in growing up too much, but Crash is trying to get him to grow up. I do like the part where they get to being on the field, and he's telling him, like, why don't you throw this one? Throw this one, and he refuses to throw it.
Yeah.
So he's like, you either throw this one, or I'm gonna mess this up for you. And he's, I don't know, throw whatever I want to throw. All right, fine. So he goes up there and just tells the batter, it's gonna be a fastball. And then he hits it.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean that got out of there fast. That was the second time. It's like that got out of there fast. You told him what I was gonna throw, didn't you? Yeah, I told him.
Yeah.
Or it's like no, he said the first
How
time.
Did he figure that
he's
out?
like, how did he know what I was gonna throw? He's like,
I told him.
Because I told him. Wait, you told? Yeah, I told him.
Yeah,
Next time, throw what I tell you to throw.
Yeah, I thought there was going to be some big throwdown after that. I thought there was going to be some big philosophical point, that he's just like, no, I told him.
Yeah.
Do what I tell you next time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Then I thought it was kind of funny as the movie goes on. You've got Nuke as he is maturing a little bit. You've got him kind of he's following a little bit more of Crash's advice, and then you get that whole stretch of time where he kind of refuses to sleep with Annie because Crash has told him that you need to be more.
You don't mess with a streak.
You don't mess with a streak. You need to be more kind of focused on yourself and don't all the different superstitions that come in with that. And so then you get to a point where Crash actually ends up being released by the team. Nuke does go off to the major leagues, and Crash gets released by the team, and then you kind of have the whole section of the movie there where he and Annie are just enjoying each other's company. A lot of candles.
A lot of candles.
A lot of fire hazards.
Put the cap on the milk.
Takes a lot of Put
the cap on the milk. I don't like that food thing. I just put the cap on the milk.
It was like Fatal Attraction levels of kitchen messy.
Yeah, just.
Yeah. What's wrong with taking a moment, picking up the milk, and just moving it?
Just get the milk
Just
out of the
move
way.
it. Just move it out of the way. That's all I'm saying. I don't think it kills the spontaneity.
No.
In fact, it probably makes it better because then you don't have to clean up everything afterwards. Come on.
No, when it
Crash didn't have to clean up nothing. He was fine with the whole.
Well, it gets in the clothes,
true,
and then your
but,
clothes smell
They
like
smell
spoiled
like
milk.
and,
And I just, I really, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we have problems with love scenes that make messes in kitchens.
Yeah.
So maybe we do a podcast sometime of just like messy kitchen love scenes.
I mean, I'll even
9.5 weeks.
Yeah, I'll let the.
I haven't seen that one. Is it a messy kitchen love scene?
Yeah.
Okay.
And even in the bath with the water and the splashing, and okay, let's take a look at what's happening to the grout. Let's look at what's going to water damage beneath the tub.
Damage,
my God, it's hell being in your head watching a movie, isn't it?
Oh, you have no idea. Yeah, especially that stuff. I mean, it's just
the only thing that would have made it worse is if it would have been like Fatal Attraction and they would have like spilled the milk and they would have been like splashing in each other's faces.
I know. I saw
that's not sexy.
My first no. Bringing no, you're not. You're not bringing it back.
No.
I even thought maybe that was just
maybe
a movie
soy milk.
Maybe it was a movie flub and they just had so many bad takes they couldn't take that out.
Yeah.
I just.
No, that was intentional.
Okay.
All
right, I'll take it more from. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
here is the recommendation.
I can honestly say I did not analyze that scene that deeply. I'm not going to.
The recommendation of the 30-something movie podcast is don't have sex over spilled milk. That's how that phrase goes, isn't it?
There you go.
Yeah.
That is now. Anyway.
That was, and I think that's only our second official ever proclamation of the podcast.
Well, it's
the first one. I think was the 30-something podcast does not approve of drugs. Wasn't that with Repo Man?
Yeah.
So this is number 2 for us.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of stuff is number 2 for us, but
we don't. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it does.
Yeah. So
we're gonna have to issue executive orders here, and that's
Yeah,
I don't know.
Don't mess up the kitchen. It's not worth it.
I don't like my food being messed with.
I know. I was uneasy as well. So I feel you. So Crash goes and he joins another team. I thought it was an interesting name for a baseball team, the Asheville Tourists.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a bit of a strange name. He does break the minor league record for career home runs, but nobody seems to realize it. And when we do see Nuke, the last time he is being interviewed as a major leaguer, and he is, answering questions the way that Crash has taught him to answer questions, as a big boy does. Crash then does retire, comes back to Durham, and then you kind of get the idea that he's considering taking the manager job at one of the other towns not too far away. So that is basically the plot of the movie. As I said before, this was the first time I ever saw it. You said, Pat, this was the first time you ever saw it too? What'd you think?
I liked it. I really did. I'm not a huge baseball fan by any stretch, so yeah, I didn't have much bringing to this movie expectation or whatnot. I thought it was just a real unique little movie. I don't know, was it about people? Was it about baseball? Was it yes to all of the above? I don't know. I really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was fun.
The Asheville Tourists, by the way, like the Durham Bulls, are a real baseball team.
Okay. Now, this is not the first time you saw this movie, correct?
No.
Okay.
No, it is not.
When was the first time? Do you remember the first time you saw it?
Shoot. It was probably late. was probably early 90s, right around when I saw Major League. I probably saw them about the same time.
Okay.
Because they're definitely connected in my head, not just because of all the jokes that are tied together, but yeah. Always loved Bull Durham. It's fantastic.
This one too, I thought was very quotable.
Oh God, yes.
Like, I mean, and you think of like Field of Dreams and Major League, and I mean they're all quotable, but this one in particular, I mean, and I always think Tim Robbins is hilarious too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just a lot of funny stuff in this movie, and just not even necessarily funny quotes, but like what was the line where he says something like, God gave you a gift. He reached down and.
Oh yeah.
Reach down and turn your arm into a thunderbolt or something.
Yeah.
Like that. Whatever the line was.
Just the way they turn that.
It's when he was drunk.
Yeah. Or they were on the bus or.
Don't hit a. Wasn't it the bar? Don't hit a drunk guy or something.
Well, no, it was from what I hear. What was it? From what I hear, if you fell out of a boat, you couldn't hit water.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that was the first one.
Yeah. There were maybe a couple other words in there that I left out.
When you got a gift. When you were a baby, the gods reached down and turned your right arm into a thunderbolt. You got a Hall of Fame arm, but you're pissing it away.
Yep.
I ain't pissing nothing away. I got a Porsche already.
Yeah, it keeps coming back to the Porsche.
You don't need a quadraphonic blopnook. What you need is a curveball.
I did like the...
You've been in the majors? Yeah, I've been in the majors.
What was the line about strikes are fascist?
Strikes are fascist. Oh yeah.
Yeah. What was the line? We thought
balls
that
are democracy.
Relax, all right. Don't try to strike everybody out.
Yeah.
Strikeouts are boring. Besides that, they're fascist.
Yeah.
Throw some ground balls. It's more democratic.
Yep. So yeah, there were several times like some of those little one-liners. Kind of were, or any of the speeches that Crash is giving. And
the belief statement. Is one of my favorite speeches ever.
I think that was
in a movie.
Jeff responded to something I put up. I put up something on Twitter. Oh no, here I said watching Bull Durham for the first time. What's your favorite line from the movie? And I said mine so far. From what I hear, you couldn't hit water if you fell out of an effing boat. And then Jeff responded with the entire I believe statement.
I believe Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. I believe there ought to be a constitutional amendment outlawing AstroTurf and the designated hitter.
Yeah.
It's just good.
Did you hear that, Dennis? Did you hear that? Designated hitters. We love you, Dennis.
It's so good.
The Sox play in has a designated hitter.
Yes.
I see.
The league, real baseball is played in.
Real baseball doesn't have designated hitters.
I gotcha.
Okay. This may be the episode we get the most feedback from.
It may be
if we have baseball fans.
Yeah. And I am the first to say I am not a fan of the designated hitter. I also think that eventually, in my lifetime, the designated hitter will be a ubiquitous thing in the major leagues.
So pitchers have to hit the ball.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they won't eventually. Okay. I think in the end we're going to go the route of the designated hitter because they are going to want to keep more of these
specialists.
Yeah. It's pretty much it. Agreed. But at the same time, I can't really fault someone who says they don't want to see some 40-year-old lefty reliever swing a bat.
Right.
Because I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really either.
Right.
I just think it's cheating.
Slightly unrelated to the movie, do you remember the first time you ever went to a baseball game? Or if you don't, favorite baseball game you went to?
Oh, wow. Well, first time that I remember anyway, and I'd have to confirm with my father, but I think first game I ever went to, 6, 7 years old, Milwaukee County Stadium, middle of July. So hot. Oh my God. So hot we didn't stay. We couldn't. We were dead. We got back to the hotel and it was bad. It was bad.
Yeah.
We were up there for the weekend, did the whole Milwaukee Zoo thing. It was so hot. Oh God. Favorite game? That's a tough one.
Because you go to a lot of baseball games.
I do. Favorite's tough. It would have to be a tie between any time I've gone on opening day and the Cubs have won, which is very little.
Mm-hmm.
So there's only a couple of those. Or my brother took me the week of my wedding, and we sat in the second row behind home plate at Wrigley Field.
Oh, nice.
I mean, we were as close to the brick wall where the net is as I am to you right now.
Yeah.
It was awesome. It was awesome. I love baseball. I just wish it was cheaper to go to a game because I'd go to a lot more.
Well, and I feel like when we were in high school, it was like
you could get away with it, yeah.
$15, $18 to get bleacher seats.
Yeah.
At Wrigley.
Not anymore.
And I don't think I didn't take advantage of it back then, so I kind of missed that chance. And it's definitely not $18 now.
No. But I am sensing a possible 30-something podcast summer outing. We should set something up.
I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, I'm gonna look into that.
Okay. What about you?
Maybe we'll go to
do you have a
Milwaukee.
favorite,
I remember
Milwaukee's good.
I remember every baseball game I've been to.
Yeah, you've been to one?
No.
Oh, okay.
6 or 7. I
Oh,
think.
okay.
I went. My mom took my brother and I down to Wrigley. Mom's a big baseball fan.
Okay.
So we went down to Wrigley with her. We were young. Maybe, I don't even know if I was in like middle school age yet. So I went down to Wrigley a long time ago. That was fun. Our neighbors were huge Sox fans. So I remember going to Comiskey Park, old Comiskey Park, and sitting in like box seats for old Comiskey. And then I remember New Comiskey, before it was Cellular Field.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't think I've ever been to the Cell. I think I've always been to Old Comiskey and New Comiskey.
Okay.
But
Right
then
on.
I remember going to New Comiskey and being in the upper deck seats and having that experience in New where it feels like, dude, like auditorium theater, like you feel like you're
When
going
they
to fall
first
forward.
built that thing, that was freaky up there.
That was crazy, wicked awesome. Like, I remember going up there and just being like, holy buckets, man. Holy buckets.
I was a nerd in school, not that this will surprise anyone at this table, and 1 year in grade
I
school.
went to school with you, I know.
Yeah. 1 year in grade school, I had perfect attendance, and that was what you got, was
That's
White
awesome.
Sox tickets.
Yeah.
Nerd.
Up in the... Yeah. Ooh,
Now,
mama.
if I kind of relate about
Sharon would get those too. I think she
Yeah.
would get the win the White Sox tickets for attendance, and
auditorium theater downtown. Not auditorium, but Orchestra Hall. I don't know. Orchestra Hall has that too. When you walk into that balcony or the gallery,
some of those balconies, even in some of the stage theaters, are like that.
yeah,
They get a
it's
little
really.
steep.
I mean, I've been there enough, but yeah, I remember those upper deck seats. It was like my feet were like at the head of the net. Like it was. So I remember that. And then I remember our neighbors we got in the skybox one of the times. So we got into the skybox for one Sox game,
Very
and
nice.
that was quite a thing. That was an experience. And then I remember I went to a Twins game. Some friends, we were up in Eau Claire. We went and visited a buddy that had already graduated, and we went over to Minnesota. He's like, "You guys want to go to a baseball game today?" Now, I grew up in Chicago, where if you want to go to a baseball game today, you better have season tickets or bought the tickets months and months in advance. And he's just like, "Yeah, let's go to a Twins game." I'm like, "Today? Did you buy tickets?" We'll get them at the gate. I'm like,
you can do that?
You can do that? And he says, yeah. And we were like, we lived outside. He lived right outside of the Twin Cities. And I said, well, what time does the game start? It starts in about 20 minutes. I'm like, don't we have to drive to the thing? Yeah, we'll leave in about 5 or 10. We'll be okay. And I'm like, we have to drive into the cities. You live like outside the cities, and we can leave 10 minutes before the start of the game, and we can get tickets. It was just mind-blowing and all that. Obviously, this kind of sounds like a diss on the Twins, because that's the reason that tickets weren't...
It's the way it was.
But I remember seeing a Twins game, and then finally a buddy of mine had a bachelor party that included a game up at new Brewer Stadium. And
Great place to see games.
Yeah,
Still
and
to
that's
this day.
what I remember, too, is that...
they have now...
Just awesome place to see a game.
At Miller Park. There's a Fridays in left field. You can get, and my brother did this because the Cubs play up there the weekend before they open at home. You can get a table, and that's what we did. We got a table, and it's like sitting at Fridays, but
That's
you're watching the game.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
Fantastic.
That's awesome.
What did you think of seeing a game inside in Minneapolis?
It didn't throw me that much, because I don't.
That is the, other than the one in Milwaukee with the roof that closes, which is sort of like
I feel
seeing
like
the game
that's the
inside.
only time I've been. The
Me
roof
too.
the roof was
I have
closed.
not been in a
Otherwise I'd never
full
been in a-
closed baseball stadium.
It didn't really throw me that much, because I don't. I was just like, this is cool. Anytime you see something live, I get excited for it. And it was fun. But so that didn't throw me as much. So, and at the risk of hijacking the conversation, a colleague of mine one summer decided with some buddies. I don't know if you heard about this. There was a little write-up. He decided with some buddies. They planned this out. They were going to, let's go see like 8 games in a row or something. And so it started planning until they decided they were going to see, what was it? They were going to watch one team consecutively. They were going to see a baseball game every day and drive around the country. And it took them like a couple of months or a month and a half. But they drove around the country and watched a baseball game at every single stadium consecutively.
That's awesome.
And it was
Jason, who used to be on the podcast, who works in the school with us, he's been trying to do that too.
Okay.
He's been trying to make it to every major league stadium.
And they went consecutively.
That's awesome.
And I just said, what was it? And he said, sometimes it was like you couldn't work your way around one end of the country to the other because sometimes to see the games consecutively. But he said that he saw every stadium and it was in a row. And he said sometimes it would be weird, he said, because we would follow one team. Like we would, like we saw, we saw the Cubs play in Wrigley, and then we saw them in Brewer Stadium, and then, and he said, so there would be these weird things, but he said, it took a couple months, but every day he watched a baseball game. And he just saw the different, and he said, some of these places are awesome, and this one's like San Francisco's like right on the bay and the border. Then you go down there, and down in Tampa Bay, they have you can pet sea rays in the outfield, and there's like a petting zoo, and so he just described all the different. But Brian O'Connor, he used to teach at Lake Forest High School, and he's out in California now. But he did that.
That's awesome.
It was really fun listening to him talk, and just the different feel of each of the stadium.
The new stadium in Minneapolis, Target Field, is beautiful.
Okay,
went there a couple summers ago. It was fantastic.
Do they share that with the football team?
No, the football team just built a new one.
Right, because that was for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's not okay.
No, different. They're across the expressway from each other. Even they used to share.
The
stadium. But now they each have their own, and the baseball field is beautiful.
Cool. So you go, John.
I don't know that I can remember a favorite game, but I know growing up we went to a lot of Rangers games.
Okay.
Grew up in Dallas, so we went to a lot of Rangers games. So I was. Funny thing was there, I almost ended up following. What was his name? Ruben Sierra was one of the big players at the time. And the funny thing was, I would watch him when he was playing for the Rangers, and then we moved over to England, and then we moved back. We thought we were going to move to California. So we lived in Sacramento for maybe a summer, and we went to a Giants game, and he was playing for the Giants there. And then I think when we came here to Chicago, one of the first games we went to was either a Sox or Cubs game, and he ended up playing for the opposing team. So I followed him to 3 different cities over the course of my childhood.
Fun.
We went to a lot of Rangers games growing up.
When did you guys leave Texas?
When did we leave Texas? Yeah. It was 91. June of 91.
My years are going to be off, but did you get to see Nolan Ryan pitch live?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I think only one game. I only saw one game.
I'm only mostly jealous of you right now.
Yeah. No, and that was...
Man could pitch.
That was cool. I mean, he was obviously, at the end of his career at that point. But
he could... The ball still made noises in the air that people...
We have a song. There was a singer that my dad really liked named Jerry Jeff Walker. He's like a Texas country singer. You know what? I'll include some of the audio for it in here. He has a song that's all about Nolan Ryan.
Yes, he does.
It's
fantastic.
I love that song.
Jerry Jeff Walker.
Nolan Ryan. He's a hero to us all.
He is.
He don't mess around, boys.
No.
He can throw a mean fastball.
He can.
Yeah. But the song is a story of his career. And,
awesome.
But yeah, so did that, and then switched to cricket temporarily when we were over in England, and then
one day you're gonna have to explain cricket to me. I've tried.
One day I'm gonna have to explain cricket to me because I've played it and I'm not sure I understand
cricket. You got to know what a crumpet is to understand cricket.
So, if you know how to throw a wobbly googly, then you let me know. No, but it's a type of pitch in cricket. It doesn't make any sense at all. I apologize to all the people who listen to us in countries that have cricket. I don't. But if you're being honest with yourself, you don't know how cricket is played either.
Any game that can take that many hours.
Oh no, it's not hours.
I know days. Like
it's days.
Days. I don't understand.
It's days, and nobody really watches the game The only like the cricket games I went to, everybody sits around and has their tea and their little sandwiches and everything else. No one is actually watching the game.
There's just a game going on.
Yeah, there is. It's just a game going on in the background. I don't think the players watch the game. So people say that baseball's boring. You've never seen a cricket match before. And I sometimes will even watch it on TV, and they make it look exciting, but it's because they've zoomed in on just the part of the field where the pitching is happening. So funny story about the cricket, though, is when I was in school in England, they needed, like, somebody had gotten injured. I was at an all-boys school. We didn't have very many people at the school, and so whenever we had a sports team, you pulled from the very few kids that were in the school to be on the sports team. So a lot of times everybody got to participate. Funny tangent to that is I got put on the swim team one time. I didn't even know how to swim.
Dear Lord.
So,
that's like how you find coaches at a school.
Right.
You have a pulse, you're going to coach.
So they need somebody for the cricket team. They're like, you do well on the rugby team. You'll be fine on the cricket team. Come on out. And I was like, well, do I need a uniform? They're like, yeah, just white pants, white shirt, white sweater. That's all you need. I'm like, well, okay.
Tie the sweater thus.
Okay. I'm not a pimp, so I don't have all my...
Oh, man. But maybe you are.
No, I felt like one walking out of the secondhand clothing store with my white pants, white shirt, and white sweater.
White shoes too.
Probably had white shoes too.
God,
so I'm like this. Picture? I'm like this, like vision in white.
Yeah, that's what you were.
And they put me in the outfield because that's the best place for the American is in the outfield where nothing ever happens.
Hide the American.
Somebody gets a hit and it comes zooming towards me. Right? Okay, so I have not played cricket at this point. This is my first time standing out of the field. All right. So the ball comes zooming towards me, and the thing is, it's a big circle, and if it gets outside the circle, I think it's like 6 points. I forget the points now, but so I'm thinking, don't you let that ball outside that circle. So I pull a baseball maneuver, and I dive for this ball that's about to zoom past me. And I dive, and I catch it, and I roll a couple of times, and I jump up, and I zing it back to the pitcher, so he can get the guy out. Everybody, the parents, the coaches, the umpires, the players from both teams are just staring at me. And when the inning is, or whatever it's called, I forget now. When he comes in, the next morning, when it was July, we all got together. The coach came out and he's like, "What in God's green earth was that?" And I was like, I was stopping. Son, that's not how we play cricket. I'm like, but I stopped it from getting the points. No.
This is a civilized game, young man.
But I'm defending in the...
What did you do wrong?
I don't know.
But he just told you that.
It never got explained to me what I did wrong.
Other than you don't do that.
Apparently we don't dive and we don't roll. And what was funny was my mom was not happy because that pristine white outfit
that's why we don't
had
roll.
Grass stains all the way up.
This is a gentleman's game, young man.
Well, I'm not a gentleman.
We know this.
So,
dear Lord.
So that's how you don't play cricket.
That's awesome. I love that story.
Yeah, that's good.
On that note,
you got to leave. So.
I must excuse myself, gentlemen. I look forward to hearing your comments about all that. I'll maybe shoot a call to the Love Line for my take on Working Girl. But yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing the stories and all the fun that comes out of it. And you guys have a good night.
You too.
So, but yeah, great movie. Both of them, great movies.
Fantastic, quotable as hell. Great baseball movie. If you haven't seen it, see it.
Strikes are fascist.
Yeah, I try to, sometimes movies that I know I love, I try to look for something bad in them just to, to watch it with a critical eye, because Lord knows I've come in and panned enough movies, but it's really hard not to like this. It's Kevin Costner before he got preachy. God. It's a young Tim Robbins just being goofy. It's great. It really is. And if you like baseball, and if you're old enough to like older school baseball, the old school baseball characters are all there. The crotchety manager, the crazy pitching coach. It's all there. It's so good. Yeah.
And I don't know, and I don't want to sound like a jerk by saying this, but Susan Sarandon would not have been my first choice. Initially, when the movie started, I was like, yeah, she's the love interest in this one? Okay. And that's not and that's not even necessarily anything against her, and it's not, I don't know. initially, but I think after watching the movie, I'm not sure anybody else could have played that part. And apparently, the way she got the part, I was reading this, the studio, I guess, thought the same thing. They're like, Susan Sarandon, no. No. We need someone different. We need someone a little sexier. We need somebody, maybe a little younger, a little ditzier, maybe, I don't know. But so apparently what they did was the director told her, you might need to go fight for your job here. And so apparently she showed up in a plunging neckline and a form-fitting miniskirt. And the director, or somebody else told her, you need to go into the producer's office or the studio office and just lean over their desk for a few minutes. And she said that's all she did. And she went in and she just leaned over the guy's desk for a few minutes. And after she stayed there for a little bit, he's like, all right, you can be in the movie.
And she's perfect because we're not in New York. We're in Raleigh, North Carolina. Right. That's what you find in Raleigh.
And we've got the kind of young ditzy character.
We do. We've got Millie.
Yeah.
Daddy owns this. Daddy donated the scoreboard. It's outstanding. And she marries the God-fearing guy
with the ceremony on the field.
Of course. Yeah. With the manager as his best man. I mean, of course, it would be no other way. It's perfect.
All right. Last thing I was going to bring up for this one, Kevin Costner we almost had a baseball team in our own county.
I know.
Co-owned by Kevin Costner.
Yeah, that fell through. Lake County Fielders. I was getting excited for that.
I know, we were too.
Did you see any of the stadium designs?
Back in the day, I think so.
They had a row of seats.
I think it was going to be fun.
They had a row of seats like... Imagine Wrigley's main concourse that wraps around between the 100 and the 200 level. Before the 200 level would start, put a little section of bar tops and high top chairs all the way around. And that was a seat you could buy. I was all set. I was going to have season tickets to the Lake County Fielders at one of those bar tables. And I was going to be a bum all summer. It was going to be fantastic.
Well, and we were thinking about it. We were thinking of should we get season tickets? Because we can't afford Cubs tickets. No. And we that was the thing I forgot to mention when I'm talking about favorite baseball games. Sharon and I love to go watch the Illini play when we were down at University of Illinois. We would go all the time because it was free for students. So we could walk in and the concessions were cheap and the tickets were free. And so if we had nothing to do on any given weeknight, we'd just be like, you want to go see a baseball game? They're playing in half an hour. You want to go? We'd go, and it was fun. And so when we found out that the Lake County Fielders were coming, and Kevin Costner was supposed to be a co-owner of it, we were like, this will be awesome. It's really close. It's, Schaumburg has a team, but they're a little bit further away. And
King County Cougars.
All right. Well, if there's anything that we, if you love Bull Durham, and if there's anything that we talked about that you totally disagree with, or you want to add something else to it, please feel free to get in touch with us. Let us know. You can call our voicemail line. You can email us. You can tweet at us. All those different things. If you go to our website, 30podcast.com, you can find all those different ways to get in touch with us. I will say there is another podcast I've been listening to lately, and they've been retweeting a lot of our stuff too. And they had mentioned that they love both of these movies that we're talking about today. On their podcast, they did a show a little while back, and it was what fictional characters would you invite to dinner?
Ah.
And it's the Retro Cinema Podcast, and I'm gonna make sure I don't want to mess up their names. I think it's Gidget Von LaRue is her name, and they just did an episode.
Hopefully, she will not be offended if I accidentally think of her as Lily Von Schnupp. Well, that's funny.
Yeah. So they're actually doing an episode recently on Amadeus, a two-parter. So I'm listening to that one because I'm
Danish.
I love that movie. But she said Annie was the only, when she listed out the people that she would invite to a fictional character dinner, Annie was the only woman that she had as her fictional character. She also said that one of her top 10 favorite songs from movies is the song from Working Girl. Is it Let the River Run?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, since we're connecting this to Working Girl already,
we'll move on into Working Girl.
The theme of these two movies, for whatever reason, seems to be the annoying character trait of people quoting people and giving the source of the quote.
Mm-hmm.
In both movies, it happens a lot.
Yeah.
Like, Annie is always quoting someone and saying who it's by. And at one point, Crash sort of calls her out on it. He's like, who cares?
Yeah.
Like, I don't care who said it. Big deal. And then it's because I watched them in this order.
Yeah.
Bull Durham and then Working Girl.
Yeah.
So then it happened in Working Girl a couple of times too. And I was like, oh, that's weird. Little unintentional theming.
And that's right. That wasn't the reason I put the two movies together. Because I hadn't even seen them at that point.
I just find it so interesting that they both do that, where they quote, and it's, and they do it almost pretentiously. Like at the end of the quote, they just throw out Oscar Wilde, or come on, who cares?
So let's go into talking about Working Girl. So again, this is another one that I had not seen this movie before.
I had not either.
You hadn't either, so this is the first time you saw it. So we'll run through the plot of it real quick. So Tess McGill, she is working in a stockbroker's office as a secretary, and clearly she's not Ivy League educated like some of the other folks that are in the stock market business, and so she's getting her classes. She's taking her classes at night and just trying to kind of get some of that stuff done when she can. And she ends up getting kind of tricked into going on a quote-unquote date with a guy that she thought was going to be her new boss, that he was looking for a new secretary, and as it turns out, he was not. He might have been looking for a secretary, but not for secretarial work. And played by Kevin Spacey in that scene, and as Pat put it before we started recording, it was allegedly Kevin Spacey playing Kevin Spacey, doing a little bit of harassing sexually.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. And I did think that one part was funny, where he's like, well, let me just put on this video that corporate wants us to show everybody, and see what you think about it. Oh, that's the wrong video, unless you like that kind of thing. No? Okay. But for the 4 minutes he was in the movie, that was a funny scene. Now, granted, given the climate of everything that's happening with like the Me Too movement and things like that, when I say it's a funny scene, it also, especially right now, is kind of a yeah. So that still happens. Yeah. So, but still, regardless of what has come out about Kevin Spacey and all this other stuff, there are still times where I go back to his movies, and whatever he's in, he's always entertaining. He's always a good actor in it. However he is as a person, I don't know him personally, and not going to get into all that, but, it just, I enjoy it when I see his name pop up in a movie. I know it's going to be a part that I'm going to enjoy seeing.
Mm-hmm. Just to jump off on that real quick, but a lot of little parts with amazing actors. Oliver Platt.
Oh yeah,
is in it for the first 5 minutes.
Well, because Sharon was telling me when I put this on, it was last night when I watched this, and she said, I'm convinced I probably would have seen this because she had a great aunt who must have had like every Harrison Ford movie ever.
Well then you have this is a
and so she
the
kind of
fact that I hadn't seen it sort of surprised me, but it was. I really thought going into it, I was gonna see something. I was like, I have seen this. No. Didn't see any of it coming. Nothing.
And she felt like she had seen bits and pieces of this, but she couldn't remember a lot of it.
And maybe it was a little racy for them to show her as a
probably
young, impressionable young girl.
Probably. That never stopped anybody with me, but...
us boys are different.
A little different. But when the names were popping up at the beginning of this movie in the opening credits, she's like, oh, Oliver Platt. Wait. Oliver Platt, Kevin Spacey, and Kevin Spacey's kind of far down on the list, isn't he? I was like, well, I think this is young Kevin Spacey, so
young Oliver Platt,
young Oliver
Small
Platt too,
Oliver Platt.
little thinner Oliver Platt. Who are we to speak?
Well, but I mean,
right, yeah, pre Three Musketeers Oliver Platt,
yes,
and West Wing,
Oliver Platt. Yeah, he was great in Three Musketeers. I love that.
Yeah,
movie.
he was. I can't wait till we get to that one. Is that 93? It's 93. Yeah, it'll be a while. But yeah, a lot of big name people. Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, his role's a little bigger than those, but not huge. I mean, not.
Yeah. But yeah, and that in particular, Sharon was like, okay, Alec Baldwin, Harrison Ford. My great aunt had to have owned this movie because those are like the actors that she bought all the movies for. And
and this was young Alec Baldwin too.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
like, you know, Red October Alec Baldwin, not 30 Rock Alec Baldwin.
Right. So Tess, she kind of gets tricked into meeting up with this guy in his limo, and it doesn't go well. So she ends up kind of getting fired from the position that she's in because she does go back and put a bit of a nasty message up on the stock ticker for her boss, who kind of tricked her into this whole situation. Ends up going to work instead for Catherine Parker, who is a bit of a change of scenery for her. Seems to be like somebody that she can work with, and is all about, you know, empowering other women, and you know, it seems like it's going to be a great working environment. And you get the idea that Tess too is kind of working on her own stuff, like trying to come up with her own ideas, and she wants to move up in the world, so she's actually got a head on her shoulders, and you know, she's a smart cookie when it comes to thinking through some ideas for mergers and how to improve company stocks, and so she comes up with this idea and presents it to Catherine. Well, then Catherine goes off and she breaks her leg in a ski trip, and she's going to be stuck there for at least, I think they said, like 3 weeks. And so Tess is kind of cleaning up her house and getting everything straightened up, and notices on her home computer that there's a memo on the computer that makes it seem as if Catherine is stealing Tess's idea and wanting to use it for herself. Now, later on in the movie, after she's gone through all this stuff of you know, trying to steal her boss's identity and become the boss while her boss is out of town and out of commission, you do kind of find out later that Catherine does say, well, you know, I had that on there, I had it written up, and I realized that, you know, it could have looked like that I was, you know, trying to steal your idea, but I want to write it up before I ran it past you one last time, and you know, we kind of worked on it together. So this is one thing I want to ask you about. Do you think she was being sincere when she said, I was just writing it up, but if you looked at it the wrong way, you could think...
I did for a hot second.
Okay.
And then when she sort of confronted Harrison Ford's character, she sort of tried to feel him out, and would you look at something for a colleague? Are you worried about things getting stolen? And he said he wasn't.
Right.
So I think she, from the jump, was conniving from the beginning, and she was feeling her out.
Because at first I thought she was being genuine about that.
Yeah.
And that was the point at which, when she's like, yeah, would you have been concerned about an ethics violation? And when he contradicted everything Sigourney Weaver's character said, then I was like, oh, okay. Because otherwise I thought she was being sincere, and then the rest of it at the end of the movie was just revenge for finding out that...
No, I think she was...
Melanie Griffith had stolen her boyfriend.
Well, and what put her over the edge was the stealing of the boyfriend, but I think she was...
Yeah. So then finally you get to the end of the movie, and they are making the big deal for the one guy to buy the radio network, and I did like that whole ending part where, well, she storms into the boardroom and they kind of have this whole confrontation, but then they end up going back to the office where they work, and Tess has been cleaning out her desk, and they have the kind of confrontation at the elevators. And you know, thought that was funny when he the guy, what's his name, Orrin Trask, when he steps out of the elevator at the last minute and then goes up to ride the other elevator with them,
which must have been an express because they got there first.
They got there faster. Well, there were more people in the other one, so maybe they had to stop at other floors. And
Fair enough.
But yeah, so then all works out in the end to where she ends up going somewhere else and getting her own office with her own secretary, and you know, just kind of a very happy ending for everybody. And she and Harrison Ford are living together now, and everybody's all good.
And she lets the river run.
So, a couple things I thought about this one while I was watching it is it felt very much like a... I want to be careful not to say a copy, but it felt a little bit like... Well, no, actually, it wouldn't be a copy because this came first. It felt like a copy of Pretty Woman, to me. But I mean, I think it's just that style of movie.
It is.
And,
It's
and
the-
Pretty Woman.
yeah.
Pretty Woman came after. I mean, Pretty Woman was 90, 89, 90,
Something like that.
somewhere around there. You know, it was 90 because I remember I think that when I bought the DVD, it was the 20th anniversary edition in 2010.
There you
go. But yeah, but I mean, I saw Pretty Woman first, so I think of that one first. But it kind of a similar type of story to it, is you've got somebody who's trying to improve their position in life, and although I guess from the beginning of this, you know, in Pretty Woman, she's not necessarily trying to improve her position. She's just trying to make some money and do her thing. Whereas from the get-go, Tess is trying to improve her position, and you know, she wants to move up, and she's hungry to move up, and she'll do whatever she, you know, within the bounds of, you know, not selling herself out in propriety and all that. She'll do what she needs to do to move up. But yeah, I thought it was a funny movie. It definitely had a lot of funny parts to it. Again, another very quotable one. You know, some of the lines like, "You want a different answer? Go ask a different girl." And I feel like I've heard some of those lines in other places too. Like somebody's quoted it somewhere.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. But yeah, so the one thing though, Melanie Griffith, I don't know that I've seen a lot of movies she's been in, and I don't know that I care for her as the lead actress.
Yeah, her voice doesn't do it for me for sure.
Her like quiet nervousness is not quite on the same level for me as Woody Allen. Like that's the reason I don't like Woody Allen, is his whole like nerdy, quirky nervousness. I just don't. It just grates on me. I don't like it. It's not a style that I enjoy. And she was kind of, it was close to that. But it was just a very quiet, like soft-spoken nervousness to it. And it just, at different times in the movie, I wanted to be like, oh my God, just stop. Please stop. Don't talk.
And that would be good.
That would be a good time.
Yeah, I mean, I am scrolling through her IMDb page, and I have seen very little
I can't
that
think
she
of too
was
many
in.
others. Now, one thing that we didn't talk about, but it will be in the background info that I include before we start talking here, was that she did get fined on this movie because she was going through a lot of drug and alcohol stuff, and I guess she did not show up at all. Like, she would show up drunk or high to some of the filming days, but I guess there was one in particular day where she just didn't even show up at all, and they had to fine her like $75,000 because they had to shut down production for a bit. And after this, I think like 2 or 3 weeks after this, she entered rehab and went through rehab. So I don't know if that maybe had a bit of an influence on what movies she was in, but I know she was in some others like Bonfire of the Vanities and some of those other movies. But I know when I hear the name Melanie Griffith, I think of 80s movie actress, but it's just not.
Yeah.
It's not like a Julia Roberts. It's not like a Susan Sarandon or a, Sigourney Weaver or any of those other people that are kind of the bigger name 80s movie actresses. I don't think I've seen a whole lot that she's been in, and I don't know that I would seek it out. I thought she was fine in this movie, but I don't know, just her character, some of the personal quirks of her character. Now, we want to talk personal quirks for characters that I do enjoy would be Joan Cusack.
Yeah.
She is hilarious.
She was awesome.
I will go look for any movie she's in.
$6,000, it's not even leather.
Yes. Coffee, tea, me. Yeah, and we commented on that when the movie was on. We're like, you know what? Any movie she's in, she's hilarious.
She is.
In 16 Candles, she's hilarious.
Yes.
In she's New Style American Girlfriend. In Runaway Bride is actually one of our favorite movies, and she's the best friend in that one, and just hilarious in that movie. School of Rock, when she's the principal.
What do you need speech class for? You talk fine.
Well, and I actually tweeted out a picture of her in her makeup at one point, and I think I said in the tweet, David Bowie would have been proud of her makeup and hair. in this
Yes.
movie. There was a moment in the movie, and Sharon's not as much of a David Bowie fan as I am, but there was a moment in the movie.
Very few people are as much of a David
Well, I
Bowie
know.
fan as you are. You take it to a new level.
But Sharon
Nothing
commented.
wrong with that.
Oh,
It's,
no. Sharon commented, she's like, she looks exactly like Ziggy Stardust right now.
Yeah.
I said, you're right. We put them side by side, it would. The big hair was kind of its own character in this movie.
Yeah, how about it? Hair.
We talked about music being its own character in Amadeus, and the big '80s hair was. I mean, that was one of the first things we said when this movie started up.
Bloom.
Like, whoa,
Yeah.
that's some '80s hair.
That's some hair.
No
doubt.
All right, so before we wrap up,
There was
here's
even that one scene, like they was all about her
I know.
getting her hair cut.
So here's kind of my one other question before we wrap up. Harrison Ford,
Mm-hmm.
action star, drama, romantic comedy star. Are you okay with Harrison Ford in this type of role, or is it too different?
I think it's good. I think he.
Do you think he's good at it? Because I think this was his first.
It was.
This was his first kind of romantic comedy kind of role.
Definitely better as an action star, I think. I can't even really think of him in many other roles. I know they exist. I just don't know them. So it's kind of interesting to see him doing this.
Yeah.
I think it might have been better as somebody else. Not better, stronger. I think he and Melanie Griffith played off each other pretty well, though.
Yeah.
It's as much as I think they spent a lot of time developing the characters individually. I wanted to see a little more of the relationship between Harrison Ford and Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah.
Like, I got from context that she obviously ran the relationship and he was a little kind of took second seat to her. I just would like to have seen a little more of it.
He's not as interested in merging.
Yeah.
With her.
It was, I don't know. I wanted a little more of that relationship, but I don't know how to get it either without spoiling some of the other surprises.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
what I want, I don't think I can have.
Yeah.
Maybe just a couple of more phone calls would have done it or something.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, because I kind of, and again, never having seen this movie, I kind of, when she had made some comment at the beginning of like, oh, I'm going away and I've got this boyfriend and he's going to, I think he's going to pop the question. He said he's got something important to tell me. And kind of as the movie went on, I started to kind of get the idea. I'm like, oh, you know what? I bet.
It had to be.
I bet that's that. And then when
that was
we got the phone call, I was like, okay. All right. I see what's going on here. But I did think Harrison Ford, he had some moments where I thought he was hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
In this. And
his facial expressions.
His facial expressions. And the one part in particular that I laughed out loud at was when she's had the Valium and the tequilas, and he brings her back and he puts her in the chair and he's like, do you want a nightcap? And he's like, no, that's a bad idea. He's like,
too late for coffee.
He's like, too late for coffee. You want some herbal tea?
Herbal tea.
I don't have any herbal tea.
Have any.
But it always sounds good when I'm in your state. And the way he said that, I'm not doing it justice, but the way he said that, it was like, that's really funny.
Yeah.
Like, would you like some? I don't have it.
I don't have any. And his physical comedy is good too. Like that whole bit with him carrying her up the stairs and getting her in the chair is pretty funny.
Yeah.
So as much
when
as
he's changing his shirt in the office and like all the women are like looking through the window and they're like
that was
platform.
awesome. Totally oblivious. Like, what are you talking about?
And I like that in all of, I don't say all, but in the other movies I've seen him in, he's either the man's man, he's the action star, he's got the swagger of the Han Solo and the Indiana Jones and
But what's interesting,
but in this movie he's not the top dog. He is. I'm not afraid to admit I've had a bit of a slump, and that was more Richard Nixon than
it was
Harrison Ford, but I wasn't going for Harrison Ford.
The interesting thing, you just said something that clicked to memory now, while not the epitome of Indiana Jones movies, but remember his way with women in The Last Crusade. A little naive around strong women, which is the same type of character he plays here. At least around the strong women, he surprised by them more often.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm warming up to him as a comedic actor as we have this conversation. Because he was funny.
Yeah. And you know what? I don't know that I've seen too many other comedic roles that he's been in.
Well,
like usually when
that was drama. The plane crash one.
Yeah, Air Force One.
Well, no, that's almost action. It'll come to me. Crashes on a island.
That
with
doesn't narrow it down.
woman
6 days, 7 nights.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
With Anne Heche.
Yep. See, I knew we'd get there.
Well, you say plane crash, and that doesn't.
Yeah, no, it really doesn't.
That could have been last week on the
realized
golf
as I
course.
said it, I'm like, I am not even like.
Harrison Ford plane crash yesterday.
Yeah.
The man needs to maybe stop flying.
Yeah, well.
Because, I mean, especially if he wants to be in another Indiana Jones movie, I think he needs to.
I mean, he definitely has a type.
When
you've
crashed a few times. Then.
Yeah, I'm looking at IMDb here. Ender's Game, Cowboys and Aliens, Indiana Jones. But, he was in K-19, The Widowmaker. That's right, he was the captain. That makes sense. What Lies Beneath.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not a lot of comedy built in here.
But when I think of him and I think of my favorite roles of his, it's going to be Blade Runner. It's going to be Han Solo. And with Han Solo and with
and Indiana Jones.
With Han Solo and with Indiana Jones, there's always some comedic stuff in there.
Right.
But I don't.
But it's not driving it.
Right. That's not the primary role that he's taken on. Now I know that there have been some other ones that he's done where it's more of a dramatic or a comedic thing.
Well, like Witness.
Wasn't he? Let's see. Wasn't it?
Presumed Innocent.
Sabrina
regarding
was another
Henry.
one. Sabrina regarding Henry. The 6 days, 7 nights. Oh, that was still a little bit of an action one. The
Random Hearts.
Yeah. Mosquito Coast. I mean, but that wasn't comedy. But that was. But yeah, so I just don't.
I mean, he was in
I don't
Anchorman
think of
2.
him.
The legend continues.
That's true.
But
that's true.
Yeah, he's had a very interesting career. Like, the more you look at his IMDb page, he actually did kind of play a lot of similar roles.
Yeah.
You don't think about it that way, but.
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, is there anything else we want to say about Working Girl? Good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah,
and was kind of surprised. I mean, this was kind of one of those where, and I think Pat too. Sometimes we go into like the romantic comedy stuff, and Pat's just like, not my kind of movie.
Right.
Not saying it's bad, but not my kind of movie.
Right.
And I kind of was going into Working Girl feeling almost the same way. I was like, yeah, I don't know that I'm totally in the mood to watch this movie tonight, but podcast is tomorrow, so I gotta watch this movie. But ended up enjoying it. Actually, Sharon and I both ended up enjoying the movie.
Oh, I did too.
Yeah. Now, I don't know that I'll go back and watch it again.
Right.
But
now, we have one thing we haven't talked about lately, because I don't think it's been relevant to the movies we've been talking about. But because this movie has been done again several times, most recently, in my head anyway, was The Devil Wears Prada. Very similar story.
I haven't seen it, but yeah.
And she doesn't go so far as to impersonate her boss like she did here, but similar story nonetheless. Yeah. Does this movie, as much as we all enjoyed it, we were watching it through a particular lens. Does this movie actually hold up? Because it's a classic story that gets retold often. Does it hold up 30 years later? And that's what I'm not sure about.
I think minus the 80s hair, sure. And even that might be making a comeback. I think it does. I think given especially a lot of the stuff like in society that's happened lately with...
I was saying it is an interesting time for female empowerment and things of
because
that
the one thing I was thinking about was the movie most similar to this that we've watched recently and done for the podcast was Secret of My Success.
Yeah. Well.
And I'm thinking, okay, well, which of these two movies, if you were to pit them against each other, which one maybe holds up better? And I almost think Working Girl does.
Yeah.
Or if you were
in that context, yeah.
If you were going to remake one today, would you be more likely to have somebody do a remake of The Secret of My Success or Working Girl? And I kind of feel like maybe Working Girl.
Yeah.
Now, some of the issues would be different because, I mean, we probably not as much as we think, but we've made some progress.
Well, it's probably harder to
Working Girl,
impersonate your boss now.
That too. And now that we have, cell phones and Skype and all kinds of other stuff.
Email.
Right.
Yeah.
Instantaneous video communication. You can't really lie about who you are and that kind of stuff. But
yeah. And, Facebook.
All that. Since people telecommute all the time anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. To me, it seems like when I was watching it last night, when we were watching it last night, I don't think I felt like this was a movie that was totally out of place today. Like some of the, obviously the locations in the movie a little outdated because they don't exist anymore. But the hair, the fashions, that kind of stuff.
I believe one of the locations was one of the World Trade Center.
It was.
Not so much so
it was
there anymore.
Building 1, I think they filmed.
Was it one? I remember reading something about using one of the buildings. I didn't remember which one.
Yeah.
Not so much so there anymore.
No. So, but I mean, other than that, other than the fashions, the hair, that kind of stuff, which in a lot of times in some of these movies, that's not going to translate well.
Right.
Over time anyway. People are always going to look at that and be like, oh, wow, that's what people did their hair like or dressed like or whatever. But no, I think the story is one that still holds up and one that's still applicable today. So if they wanted to do a remake of it or make a similar movie, I think that's why when you said we've had several movies like this over the years, I think that's probably why, is that this is the story of this being a struggle is still something that is a struggle and so still applicable. So I see this one as holding up, except for hairstyles and maybe the makeup, but
details.
Yeah. In the meantime, you can find us at 30podcast.com. We've got all of our other stuff is on iTunes and Google Play and all those places that you can find the rest of our episodes if you want to listen. I'm going to give a quick shout out to the Letterboxd app. Have you used that one at all for checking out movies? And stumbled upon it a little while ago. I don't remember how. And I got the app, and I log into the website every once in a while, too, and it's Letterboxd, Letterboxd. And I kind of use that. There, a lot of people put up reviews on there, and one thing I really like is the email newsletters they send out once a week. Some really good stuff, like really fun articles and like really well written stuff, and just some of the lists that people create. You can go on IMDb and people create lists of whatever they want. Same kind of idea, but just some of the lists on here I feel like are of a higher quality than the stuff I'd find or have to sift through on IMDb. Like if I'm, and some of the stuff is just fun random stuff, that I probably didn't even know I was looking for. It could be a list of like strong female lead actors that are also redheads. And it'd be a list of movies where the female lead actor is a redhead. Or something like, Japanese movies that are not animated that you need to watch that were made between 1980 and 1999. Or, I don't know, something like that.
Fun.
So, I like the list that a lot of people have come up with. But I actually made a list the other day, and I think I shared that out on Twitter earlier today. I didn't
see that, yeah.
And it is a list of all the movies we've done so far. And it's just kind of a fun way to look at the movies and see them visually. But yeah, I've been using that app to kind of go through and rate some movies on there and do a couple little write-ups here and there and make some fun lists and all that. So I'm going to give a quick shout-out to Letterboxd because it's a fun app.
Right on.
I think there is some premium options available if people want to go that route, but I got the free one and I'm happy with that. So
Premium. Yes.
So later this month, again, you can find all of our stuff at 30podcast.com, but you can email us, call us, Facebook, Twitter, all those other fun places, and wherever you find your podcast, most likely we will be there, but primarily iTunes is probably one of the best places to find us, but we are on Google Play and some of those others. Later this month, we've got coming up the week that it sounds like a whole bunch of people want to avoid because they don't want to broaden their horizons. I'm just being snarky. The Unbearable Lightness of Being and Wings of Desire. To which
I know nothing about either of those movies.
I think a couple people replied and they're like, I'm going to be sick that week. So that's fine. That's cool. I'm not going to name any names. Jeff. Oh, wait, I did that wrong. Aren't you? You're supposed to say the name while you cough.
Daryl Valanis being Daniel Day-Lewis. Huh?
Which fine.
I know nothing about these two movies. It's interesting.
Which and they say I don't want to go into too much of it now because we'll get to it, but the Wings of Desire one kind of sounds interesting to me, at least the premise of the movie, like angels falling in love with humans and whatnot.
Did that slip through the cracks last year somehow?
What?
Oh, according to IMDb, it's an 87.
It might have been. Sometimes I will pull it up for its U.S. release.
Ah, got it. That makes sense.
It might have been that it got released in. I think it's a German movie.
It is.
Yeah,
that makes a lot more sense.
I think it came out 87 Germany, and then it was 88 for the U.S.
Really?
Yeah. So those will be our other ones coming up later this month, and then we're gonna try to get a Black Panther episode in there if we can, if everybody goes to see it at some point.
I am hoping, and I have not confirmed any of what I am about to say.
Okay.
I am hoping to see it Sunday evening.
Okay.
If you haven't seen it by the end of this weekend,
give you a call.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I could go.
If anybody wants to come with us,
right?
So if any of you are done after work any night next week, let us know if you want to come see Black Panther with us. We are in the Vernon Hills, Illinois area, so feel free to stop by and we'll go see Black Panther with you. We're not paying for your popcorn,
nope,
or your ticket,
nope.
But if you want to go
see the movie, not around here,
no.
Unless we go Tuesday.
That's true. That's
Cheat
true.
day.
That is true.
And I'm hoping to have seen it by this weekend. But if not, let me know.
Okay. All right. So that's going to do it for our show this time. Thank you for listening, and we hope that you enjoyed our show, and we want to have you jump on and give us a review on iTunes. Let us know what you like, what you don't like. Just make it a good review.
Yeah, keep the don't like to yourself.
Yeah, I don't know. Do we want to skew the people that way? Or?
I don't know.
I don't care.
Talking.
Do whatever you
I
want.
say things.
You say things, and nobody listens. And
exactly. Yeah. I mean, what's our listener count these days? 5, 10?
In Russia. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
5 or 10 in Russia. We got at least 20.
Maybe they're using us as part of the Sparrow training program.
Maybe they are. Maybe we're part of. We're colluding. We're colluding. No, we're not.
That's Robert Mueller's on the phone right now.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Wants to know how we're doing.
Tell him I said hi.
I will.
And real quick, the one thing we missed: David Duchovny was in this movie.
He was in the background of the party scene.
In fact, I knew that, and I included it in the background notes when I did this. But I was like, I almost kind of forgot about it, and I was like, wait a minute, isn't he in this movie? And then, like for a second, I see his face flash, like right when they're trying to convince what's his name? What's Alec Baldwin's character's name? Was it Mickey?
Yeah, sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah, when they're trying to convince him to propose to Tess, and like in the corner of the left-hand side of the screen, you see David Duchovny, a little bit longer hair. David Duchovny kind of turn around for a second. And, so David, if you're listening, if you're not mowing your lawn right now because it's middle of winter and you're listening, thank you for listening. Thank you for the X-Files. You're awesome, and the truth is out there. All right. Well, thank you, Bo.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Pat.
Thank you, Pat. Thanks, Dennis. Cubs rule. Go Cubs go. Thanks, Jeff. Happy birthday, Jeff.
Happy birthday, Jeff.
It was Jeff's birthday yesterday, so Jeff is officially an old man now.
Yes, he is.
I did tell him that, maybe you saw that, I put it up on Facebook. I said that, 40 is the highest that was ever counted on Sesame Street. And so basically it's
all downhill from there.
There's nothing past 40, so, enjoy it while you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, go watch some good movies. Be excellent to each other, and we will see you all back here next time.
Relax. All right, don't try to strike everybody out. Strikeouts are boring. Besides that, they're fascist. Throw some ground balls. It's more democratic.